Hi, I have 4 cake tips for you. I have one. The first one is going to be about how to keep it from being dry. It's a box cake mix, and it can be dry sometimes. I have the second one is about how to keep the gluten from making it tough. You know, tough cake, you want moist and soft cake. Okay, the third one is how to stop the cake from like rising high at a peak. You want it flat and straight, so that you can icing it real good. And the fourth one is how not to have that crust on the side of it, so that when you put on your icing, that it gets all in the icing, has a little brown thing. So this right here is 2 boxes of cake mix. I'm doing the lemon cake mix from the box right here. So I'm going to give you 4 tips. So keep watching. So here's tip number 1. Number 1 is follow the instructions exactly, and the water. Make sure that you have the amount that they say on the box, because too little will make it crumbly. Okay, so you have an instructions on the back right here, and you have to follow it exactly so that it will not be crumbly. I have 2 boxes in here, so remember to, if you have 2 top boxes, to double the ingredients and make sure you measure it exactly, all of the ingredients really. Okay, I have my eggs in here. The rest is down in the water. But I have put my eggs in there, and then I put the oil, the one that's required for the mixing exact amount to keep it from being crumbly and dry. Now here's a tip. Since it's like so much liquid, you see that liquid? If you put that in there, it's gonna go flying all over the place. Sometimes I just stir it a little bit because that's a lot in here. Okay, and then I put the thing down but you gotta put it on low, because all of that powdery stuff will go flying in the air. Okay? See, I started off on slow, like the very first setting, to keep all that powder from flying all over the place. And then, after see how I begin to mix, then you turn up a little bit. Okay? Now that was a tip I didn't really mention. This is something I just threw in there to make sure that you don't have everything flying all over the place. A lot of people know how to do that, but it's for the newbies or there's somebody that's just not starting, that you just started off low. Now for the second one, the one I had said about when you stop the gluten is what forms when you put your eggs and everything in there. You have to not overbeat it. If you go past what's on the box, you will form gluten, which would cause it to be like stiff and packed. So you want your cake to be moist and fluffy. So I stopped it because I don't want to overbeat it. So you all can hear me say this. So you don't overbeat it. The box says 2 minutes. Sometimes I beat mine under 2 minutes, like 1 minute and 45 seconds. Sometimes 1.5 minutes to make sure. So I'm probably would beat this like 1.5 seconds, 1.5 minutes, sorry, not seconds, 1.5 minutes to 1 and 45 minutes to keep gluten from forming. Okay, you can turn it on low, and then you can turn it like on medium or something for 1.5 minutes. Okay, uh, I'm gonna kind of speed this up a little bit because you need to watch it for 1.5 minutes. Okay, that's been about 1.5 minutes. I don't want to overread it. Okay, that's to stop the gluten from forming and making it tough. Okay, you want to keep it moist. Now I have another one, and that is how not to let the it be now at the end when you take it out and you're trying to put the icing on there and it be crusty. I'm gonna show you my tip that I do to keep that from forming. Now for the third and fourth tip, I gave you other ones a freebie tip. I use a pan, the foil pan, so when you're taking it to the families and you won't have to worry about if you got to leave your pan, your good pan that goes to your set over there. It's an aluminum pan, but and it had it comes to the top, easy for carrying. Now the tip is to keep the flour from sticking you when you put on the icing and it like roll up in little brown little spots. This is what I use. Oil. Okay, I put oil in the bottom. Okay, but I put enough, just like you would put, like you're gonna put the flour in there. Make sure that it's all over. Not what's called, you want it thin like you normally would do it, and enough where because you're gonna usually don't put the flour in there to keep it from sticking. But if you use the regular oil, as much as you would use to keep it from sticking, but don't put flour in it. It will not stick. If you know how to use no oil, it probably will stick. But you don't use the flour, only the oil, and it still comes out. It's still easy to come out. You make sure that you put that oil all around up the sides too. Because if you put flour, you're usually going to put the flour and then you're going to shake it around and stuff, But it flakes. It flakes up and you have it sticking. It flakes off when you put when you start to put the icing on the cake. It flakes off and you got brown specks through your icing. So I don't use flour, I use oil, but of course you gotta have enough, not oil like it's gonna rise up over it, just the same amount you're gonna use that you're gonna put in there for the flour over there too. But the oil is not gonna make the cake greasy because you're still absorbing that oil in that flour. But see, if you put it directly in the pan and don't put the flour on it, so when it come out, it's gonna be brown, but it's not gonna have no flakes on it, and it will come out of the pan. That is, you just don't put a little teeny tiny, but put what you're gonna put in there that you're gonna put the flour in on it, and see, then there won't be no flakes in your icing. So that's another tip, and I got one more to keep it from being so it can be flat and not be rise like a mountain. I'm gonna show you what I do. Okay, see how it's enough? It's not like a real whole bunch. It's just enough to coat it all over. When you get see it like you would do, like if you're gonna put that flour in it. Okay, but it won't stick. You don't add flour. Therefore, you don't have to worry about those little crusty things getting all into your icing. Okay, now I have one more. Okay, now see how I'm pouring the mix into the pan. I'm going to show you this last one, this last tip. This is to keep your batter from being stiff, tough, crumbly. These are all tips for doing that. I have one more. Okay, now the last one is to beat the pan against the thing, but you both hands. I'm doing because I'm holding the camera right now. You will beat the pan against the table to get the air bubbles out. You see how them air bubbles are coming up? Even though I'm not using both hands right now, but you can use both hands and beat the pan at the same time. You beat it so that the air bubble, see the air bubble? The air bubble is what pushes the cake into a mountain, which it shouldn't form as big as it normally would have, because see how, look at that, see that air bubbles coming out? This right here, when the air bubbles coming out, then you don't have a whole lot in there to push the cake up into a mountain and be more smoother than in a high heel. So those are all the tips of keeping that mix moist, not having gluten, toughness in there, and to make it be not so high, be more level. Okay, there you go. Now have a good moist cake.